So guys, welcome back. This is the second try, so hopefully the live stream will work better this time. Welcome to our latest AMA session. Today is June 5th, and yeah, happy to give you an update on the recent developments on Safedroid. We have, of course, as always, in the beginning, the news part, which is basically an update on the token, update on the operating business, and then we're going to open the floor for the community questions. And as always, we will not filter the questions, answer one by one, and then see how it goes today. So on the news update side, let's start with the update on the token. So here the first one is regarding the HADEX voting. You guys know that we are in the race in the EU and Australia competition. Now unfortunately for the last round, and you will also see that, by the way, we'll post the summary of all the key points just below the video. You will see that HADEX has unfortunately changed the voting rules. So the voting was originally supposed to only run until tomorrow, and the top 3 would make it to be listed, but now actually they have extended the voting deadline until June 10th, and only number 1 project, there's a top 1 project, will be listed on the exchange. So that's a major change. So currently Safedroid, we are number 3. The votes we are currently having will not be sufficient in order to get listed there. So that would require a significant push. Just to update you guys that we are all on the same page, you can actually see how the vote's going on hadex.com/vote, and there you click to the EU and Australia competition, and you will see that we are currently in the 3rd place. However, due to the change, now the vote's running until the 10th of June, and only top project 1 will make it to the listing. That's currently not us, so please support us on this one, that we have a better chance to get also listed on HADEX. Now the second topic is around the question, and this is the number 1 question currently also in the community, when exchange, and here of course we are in intense discussions again with our top 5 exchange. Please do understand that in this process we are reliant on their availability, so it's not of our choice when the listing will happen. We are pushing for a listing as soon as possible, ASAP. Nevertheless, at the end it will be their decision, so we're working in close collaboration with these guys to fix the date. That's number 2. And number 3, update on the token, is we are in continued talks and ongoing talks with also other exchanges, further exchanges, which we have not announced yet. However, here the pricing remains quite crazy for the listing fees. You remember that in the AMA sessions before, I already mentioned that some of the exchanges are asking for 1 million US, 2 million US, 3 million US just to get a listing. These are crazy prices. We are not participating in a race like this. So therefore, we remain a bit cautious about further exchanges. We are monitoring the market, but we will only accept terms which economically do make sense. So we are not participating in this kind of crazy pricing. And I think this is also in the best interest of the community, that we are not wasting the money which we have gathered in the ICO. So just make a comparison calculation how many users we could bring to the ecosystem of Safedroid if we spend 1 million or 2 million or even 3 million US, and thereby then increase the value of the token, increase the demand for the Safedroid token. So we would not want to waste this money just for an exchange listing. Other ICOs are doing that. I personally believe that this is not in a good interest of the community. This economically does not make any sense. So that's the update on the token. And then on the second part, the update regarding the operational business, we are making very good progress in the IT development. Now the app gets closer and closer towards the launch. We have already included crypto-specific features such as Venlambo savings goal, and also a news move around tweets of crypto gurus. We will reveal more infos, more sneak peeks, the first app preview towards the later part of this week, also on our Medium, where you can see the first features coming into life. The second part about the product update is we have been able to close the first B2B partnerships, actually the first 2 of them, which allow us to connect credit cards to the Safedroid ecosystem, and also which allows us to connect the Safedroid ecosystem towards crypto exchanges. So these 2 B2B partnerships have been successfully closed. We'll announce more details very soon, and more B2B partnerships, which will also help us to enrich the Safedroid ecosystem, will follow very soon. And last but not least, um, all the relevant processes which we require in order to launch our app have been designed with our B2B partners. They have been reviewed by our legal advisors and now have been submitted to the authorities for review. So that's currently pending the approval of the authorities. But other than that, we are making very good progress. Again, here we need to wait for the final sign-off before we can start the beta. But from our side, what we could do, we are very well underway in order to deliver this milestone on time. So that's basically the update on the token and the update about the operational progress. So on the token side, it's really about waiting for the final decision of the exchange for the listing date. On the beta, it's about getting the approval from the regulatory side in order to get things started. And I think if we sum that up, the good news is that this will allow us to have basically the beta launch and the trading start more or less in parallel. And by the way, this has been a very strong point and very strong argument also going on in our community discussion, especially with the bigger ticket investors, because their feedback was that in the past, tokens which were not able to show that they have a product live have been actually dumped quite a lot when hitting the exchange. And I think this is a very good argument which we can have here, that basically before hitting the exchange, our product will be live. So we are not pre-product anymore. The beta is out there. We can show that we have a up and running product which will also support the value of the token. So I think at the end, everything is coming together, and this will also then support the price development, hopefully, of the Safedroid token. That's what we are all in for. And that has been the operational update over the last weeks, on which we have working for the full team with highest pressure. And I think we have made really good progress in these regards. So that's basically it with the summary of the updates. As you will see, we will post also the key bullets right below the video here. So not everyone who will then also watch this AMA not live but on our YouTube channel can have very easy glance at one site to see basically what have been the key updates. You can just read through the bullets below the video, and that will allow you to get the most important news in just a few seconds. I hope that this improvement, also as suggested by the way by the community, is helpful for you guys. So this is one new thing which we have established here. And the second new thing is we are also testing a transcript software where we will be able to offer not only the stream in the future but also a transcripted version. This will of course depend on the quality of the software doing the transcript. We will see how well that works. I'm happy to get your guys' feedback afterwards. Once you see the transcript, you can then also decide if this is helpful or not. But again, here you see that we're very open for community feedback. These were 2 points which we pick up from the recent feedback which we have gotten from the community to basically improve the quality of this AMA sessions by providing the key news and bullet points just below the video, and by trying to offer a transcript which we are now testing with a new software which we are using this time. So let's see how that goes. Now I would say let's jump into the question. And as always, our community manager, you have always already met, by the way, Tobias. He also published a Medium blog post. Who has not yet read it, we can also maybe share just below the live stream the link to this Medium blog post. You can see there some thoughts, an introduction to Toby, who will take care of the community management in the future. So I think this is also a good opportunity to meet him, and he will assist me tonight also to get all the questions answered. We're gonna repost the questions which are there in the community. So let's start with those. The first one here from Katarina is, how do you plan to increase the demand for Safedroid? Katarina, not sure if this is now meant for basically the app in terms of app users or for the token. Let me answer in both directions so that you can have the full overview. When we are talking about app users, then of course it's all about marketing. We do have the great opportunity to leverage the existing ICO crowd which we have, including the bounty hunters, including all the leads which we gathered, which is a community of more than 150k users already, which we can use as basically also a multiplier for our marketing. And what we will do is we will offer an attractive bounty program where it will be very rewarding in order to recommend the Safedroid app. So you will profit if you invite some people. The invited users who join will also profit by getting some SVD bounty. And I think this is then really where the strengths of the community, the strengths of the network effect can come in terms of marketing by loading the platform with users. That's basically the very first step after launching the beta, then to loading the platform with users. Then of course there will also be paid marketing. In this regard, of course, we're talking about content marketing, especially we're talking about display campaigns. What we are doing, we need to closely monitor what the big social media and performance channels will do. So Facebook, Google, currently, as you know, paid marketing for crypto stuff is banned there. Hopefully this will be changed again in the future, that the platforms will open up again. Then this will also be a good opportunity in terms of performance marketing, but currently this is not working, obviously. So we need to find other channels which for the beginning shall really be word of mouth in the community, then content and paid display. That's what we will start off with, and then of course further channels need to follow, that we can have a good user growth on the Safedroid platform, and we can leverage the community tokens, the bounty tokens which we have reserved in order to drive this user growth without having a too high cash burn. I think that's the good news in this direction. If we are talking about creating more demand for the SVD token once we hit the exchange, it's of course not only by filling and leveraging our platform with new users, but also creating more awareness for the Safedroid project, especially in the markets which we are not able to participate in the ICO. So what I'm meaning by these markets are especially, of course, China and the US. As you know, these two markets were restricted. From the US, we could only accept professional and accredited investors. From China, we needed to ban all the investors because of the regulation. Nevertheless, these two huge markets do now have the chance to buy SVD once our project hits the crypto exchanges, and therefore we will do in the context of the exchange listing marketing campaigns, especially into these markets, to inform people about the Safedroid project, special targeted AMA sessions. We will do paid marketing campaigns on Google, basically display network, sorry, not Google, display network there, content marketing again, so to attract more investors also for the Safedroid token once we hit the exchange. That's the other side of the medal, so to speak. And I hope, Katharina, that this answers your question, how we will go about a higher demand for Safedroid, both in terms of app users and token buyers. That's basically it. Then Tan is asking, or Van is asking, if Vote cannot target tab 1, next wait. I think if I get that right, this is probably referring to the Hardex voting. So for in this one, so how will it continue, I guess is what you are asking. So if until the 10th of June we will not be #1 in terms of the Europe and Australia voting, what then will happen is we will basically flip over to the general voting board, which you can also see on hardex.com/voting in the general competition, and there then we will compete with all the other projects. There's no special edition for Europe and Australia anymore, but then it's basically one voting for all the projects, and we just continue in the natural flow there. Nevertheless, what you will easily see is that the voting has gotten quite challenging these days. You can easily see if you click to the individual projects which are listed there for voting, you can then compare two things. You can firstly see how many votes have been done for this project, but also how many people actually have voted for the project. And I think what you can compare there is what's actually the ratio between number of votes per voter. And what you will easily see is that this is highly biased and highly skewed, because also if you now look to the European competition, to the token in the second place, you will find that the number of voters is actually quite low. Nevertheless, the number of votes is extremely high, which would result in an extremely high number of votes per user. So therefore, and that's the challenging thing about this HADAX voting, is that not necessarily a high number of voters will help you to get to the top and to get listed, but it's really about the number of votes, which again then is related back to the number of Huobi tokens you put down for voting. As you know, one vote is 0.1 Huobi token. That means people who are controlling many Huobi tokens at the end will do or will make one token win the race. So more Huobi tokens means more votes. It's not really about the number of the community members, unfortunately, who are voting for a project, because if you would just look to this dimension, then Safedroid would be much more up in the ranking. I think we have now more than 250 people who voted for us already, hopefully even more to join over the next days. But unfortunately, this is not the criteria. So if we are not now making it to top one, we will then just join the other competition, and then it's an ongoing race. It's very unclear to predict when then you will really make it to the top again, as it's unfortunately not the number of people, not the head count, but it's really the number of votes, which is biased by Huobi token, and therefore the vote can be influenced by big ticket Huobi token holders. That's what everybody needs to understand, and what makes the voting much more challenging there. I hope that this answers your question again on how the voting will continue if you're not making it to the top one. Then Amit is asking here, when do you start on an exchange? I've already briefly answered in the introductory session, and we also, by the way, for all who are having this question, you can read it here in the comments. We will post the high-level summary of the news update which we gave. As I said, you know the result from the community voting, which is wait for the top 5. We are now in very close discussions for alignment with this top 5 exchange. We are pushing for listing ASAP, so as soon as possible. Nevertheless, we are dependent here on the actual decision, on the actual availability of this top 5 exchange. So we cannot one-to-one influence the listing date, except for keeping pushing for a listing as soon as possible, and that's what we are doing in the best interest for the community, Amit. Then Teika is asking, can anyone join now and get the airdrop? I think what you are asking here is in relation then to the HADAX voting again. You know, everyone who votes for us on HADAX can participate in the airdrop. We have put there an airdrop of 10 million SVD. However, as the voting rules are, the airdrop will only be distributed once SVD will get listed on HADAX. So that means that the airdrop will only come true once we make it to either in this round, number 1 in the Europe and Australia voting, or in a later round when we join the overall race, when we then make it to a position where a Safedroid token will be listed on HADAX. Then HADAX will auto-distribute the airdrop to all the users who have voted in their system, right? So this is basically, so the airdrop is basically, in terms of distribution, being one-to-one linked to the Safedroid token, make it to the listing on HADAX. If we are not getting listed there, the airdrop will not be distributed before. That's the challenge which is out there. That is what we also communicated before, but that's the only restriction. So once you vote for us there, then you will auto participate in the airdrop later on. There are no strings attached from that point. The only rule which needs to be fulfilled is that the Safedroid token needs to make it to top position, that we get listed there, and then Huobi will basically distribute the airdrop from there. I hope that this is then clear enough how the airdrop mechanism on HADAX works. Then we have one question from Surjun, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hopefully. Isn't there any plan to have a meetup in other countries for marketing? We are currently also looking how, and it's a good point, Surjun, is a very good point. And we are currently looking how we can participate in crypto conferences and crypto meetups also in other locations outside of Germany. Here, currently, it's kindly the same story as with the exchange listings at other exchanges, that how typically most of the crypto conferences which you see, which are being promoted, so having a world blockchain conference there, having a crypto meetup there, as long as it's big conferences, typically how the mechanisms work is that you need to pay quite high prices in order to participate there. So it's not only the travel expense which you face, but currently it's also that you need to purchase a ticket which is quite expensive, which is combined with the sponsoring package, and that's then the only way how you can basically get also exposure there on the conference, to have a speaker slot to present your project, what would be required in order to get a positive marketing aspect. And the prices which are in the market there are roughly somewhat between 10,000 US to 15,000 US, which is extremely expensive on top than the travel expenses. So therefore, we are at this point in time not actively following this strategy. So here basically, yes, we are open in joining such conferences, but not for extremely high prices like this. We are more or less interested in joining conferences which are focusing on real content discussions, not which are pure marketing and which are a pure business case for the conference organizational company, who are basically maximizing their own profit. And you currently find many of these conferences going on the market. Nevertheless, if it's a real community project which is not meant for profit, but which is really meant for promoting projects which are meant about a content discussion around cryptocurrencies, around the future of crypto and all stuff like this, we are happy to contribute, also happy of course to pay for our travel and everything like that. But I think if it's about buying sponsoring packages for a conference to get your logo listed and a 5-minute speaker slot for 10,000 US, it's actually not worthwhile. It's basically the same as I mentioned earlier with having economically favorable terms in order to participate in events like that. And here we see crazy prices in the market. We are not so much open to wasting our money on this one, I must very openly say. So therefore, yes, wherever we have a good opportunity to go international at a reasonable cost, we are all in for it. If you basically learn about conferences, about meetups which do offer this opportunity, then please reach out to us. Please just send us the link. You can also make us an intro. We are happy to participate in this. Nevertheless, in the pure commercial meetups which are out there, we are currently really keeping our hands off, as we see that here the cost of participation as compared to the upside which we can create for our community is basically not the best investment for the funds which we have raised. So therefore, that's the current answer how we go about international meetups, international conferences, and I hope that this gives you a clear understanding how we decide about participating in such events at this point in time. Then we have here from Andoko. You want to make crypto saving app, but you can't handle bar with credit card payment. How can your app will be successful? That's impossible. Many apps can handle credit card or on market right now. Yeah, Andoko, I'm not so sure if I get your question right. Of course, our app will be able to handle credit card. That's exactly how Safedroid will work. You take your existing credit card and you will then connect your credit card to the Safedroid application, right? And that's basically how the money inflow works, by basically connecting your existing credit card with the Safedroid application. So that is how you can load your account on Safedroid, and then the load in fiat currency will be auto-converted into cryptocurrencies. That's exactly how our process will work, and that's what we are currently building. As I said in the beginning, we have just now signed a partnership with a company which enables us to connect credit cards. We have designed all the processes. They are now getting implemented. We are waiting now for final sign-off from the authorities, and once this is received, we are ready to go. So I think if I'm not mistaken here and getting your question right, that we are exactly doing that. What you are asking for, Safedroid will work on connecting your credit card with our application, and then you can do auto savings using our app. And I fully agree with you that this is a prerequisite in order to be successful, and that's exactly what Safedroid also will offer. So no differences there to what other apps can also do. Of course, our app will then differentiate in other dimensions where we keep it very barrier-free, so really small amounts. It's about micro savings, and it's about high frequency, and it's about full automation using our savings rules, the so-called smooths. So that is how we differentiate from other services. But of course, we will also use a direct credit card connect to our application in order to make everything happen. That's for sure on Doko. I hope you get your question answered with that. If I should have gotten your question wrong, please do repost and try to clarify a bit. But from what I could understand from this question, I hope that I've addressed your points also. Then Munjib is stating here, great project, love it. Thanks so much, Munjib. Always happy to also have some positive feedback here. We'll of course let the team know. That will be a good motivation to keep it up on our side. Thanks so much. Then Christian is asking here, the price for the service of Safedroid are already defined. Not exactly, so the structure more or less, Christian, is defined, but not the absolute level. I mean, here on this one, we will do two things, right? The first one is, of course, we are monitoring what's currently at the market and what the total price is. Our total price in terms of really loading the app with fiat, then auto-converting it to crypto, holding the crypto, converting it back. And there are many price components currently in the market, starting from basically a account loading fee, then you have some trading fees, then you have the bid-ask spread, then you basically have, again, the trading fee if you want to convert back, then you have, of course, a bid-ask spread again in the back conversion, and then if you want to redeem it from your account, you typically have also a withdrawal fee, which is there. So you can see currently in the markets quite a lot of fees which are there, and if you calculate the total cost, really including bid-ask spreads for both ways, you will end up with fees easily significantly beyond 10%, 15%, in some cases even 20%, right? So that's basically how the market is currently structured, how it's currently working. Now, of course, we are trying to get our head around what is the most meaningful pricing which we can offer to our users. And here, and this is now the second part, which goes a bit beyond what other competitors are currently doing on the market, is trying to see what will be the pricing model. Shall it be a monthly subscription fee? Shall it be a transactional fee? Shall it be a mix of the two, right? And here, since we are a startup, since we are just launching our product, what we will do is we will test, of course, a bit, and we will see where we get the best user acceptance for a pricing model. So currently we are considering all these three pricing models, having a monthly subscription, having a transactional fee, having a combination of the two, and we will of course then test and see what works best, and we will also of course differentiate the pricing by country. So for example, if you are thinking about a monthly subscription fee, then of course the monthly subscription price in a country like Indonesia needs to be a bit lower than in a country like Germany, given that the volume which you can save up on a monthly basis will be quite different in the two countries. So somehow the pricing, of course, also, if it's a pricing in absolute terms, will be need to adjust it to the local purchase power. And therefore, the pricing exercise is a very interesting topic. That's what we will look into next once we have launched the beta. So that is a question which will keep us busy over the summer months, and we will definitely try and test around quite a lot. So the structure, we have a very clear understanding how it could look like. The absolute term of pricing is not yet 100% fixed. There we're going to test a lot, and based on the user testing, based on quantitative feedback which we get from the market, we will then take a final decision about the final pricing of our service, and only then we will know and see what the pricing will be. So we give it another try. Sorry for this one. We seem to have some connectivity issues tonight. Never happened before. So the last live stream unfortunately broke. We now are reinitiating. What we should do is also post basically the new link of the live stream to Telegram and to the old streaming which we had, so that hopefully people can now switch over to this new live stream. And the last question, when the live stream broke, I was answering was from Florian, and it was about basically making sure, or how to make sure, that the environment in which we launch the SVD token on an exchange is optimal, in the sense that we have a top 5 exchange where the token is going to be listed, plus also having a good sentiment and a positive market environment behind. Just to wrap this up, I was just commenting that, of course, we're doing our part in order to get the top 5 exchange ready. However, we are reliant on their availability and their decision at the end of the day. So we are trying our best to influence that, to push for a listing as soon as possible. Nevertheless, if it comes to the second dimension, which is about the overall market sentiment and the overall market development, if it's going up or down, this we cannot really influence too much, because the listing date we are now negotiating towards, of course, will have some advancement from today, and that means that it's just not foreseeable how the crypto market will be performing on the very day when our token is going to hit then the exchange. So it could be both positive and negative. Of course, we hope that's going to be a positive trading day and the Safedroid token can profit from that one, but it could potentially be also a negative one. And this is just one thing I think we all need to live with it. We cannot influence a Safedroid, because that's just beyond our control actually. So therefore, for sure, doing our parts to it, but also I think we need a bit of good luck that we hit the right day and we can have a positive start for the SVD token trading. So let's then come to the next questions again from Florian. When is the crypto saving solution going? I think it's not hot to be implemented. So the we are talking here, and it seems that given from the name, you could also be one of our German users. That's why I'm explaining then also in context to the German app. So what we will do is we will launch the crypto savings beta as an international beta first, so in English language only, and therefore also for international users outside of Germany only. That's going to be the beta start. You're going to connect your credit card and you can then start your auto savings into crypto. In Germany, it will take a bit longer. So for this one, here we will continue with our German savings app, and only later this year, so directionally towards the end of the third quarter of this year, we will then implement the crypto savings functionality into the German fiat savings application, so that this application will then be basically a hybrid application, and you can save both in fiat and in crypto at the same time with only one application. But that's only then going to follow a bit later on. So the international beta is going to start soon, and then in a later point in time and towards quarter 3 of this year 2018, we will then integrate the crypto savings functionality also in the German savings app, which will then be a hybrid app in fiat and crypto. So Florian, that's basically then depending. If you're inside Germany, then you need to wait a bit longer, and if it's in the international one, the beta is going to start soon. As I mentioned, IT development is going fast, processes are designed, business partners are signed up. We are now waiting for the regulatory authority approval, which is currently pending, which you can also see in the summary of the news update just below in the bullet points posted on the video here. The next question is from, or the next statement is from Abayomi. saying here, hello Yasin, when Safedroid doing to extend to countries in other continents, especially Africa? Secondly, do you want to create your own exchange? What are you doing to get Safedroid listed soon? So these are already three different questions. So let me take it one by one. Thanks already, Abayoni, for your questions. So the first one, basically extending to other countries, to other continents. This will be from day number one. As I just said, the Safedroid crypto savings application will be launched internationally, right? So it will be available in English language and it can be downloaded in different countries already. So basically the beta start is already international and will already be also available in Africa. So you don't need to wait for the crypto savings app. We have actually, since our vast majority of the ICO community is international, outside of Germany, more than two-thirds are actually international. We have decided to launch the app in English language first. We have decided to launch our crypto savings app internationally first, and therefore you can use it then right away also on other continents. So there is no need to wait. We have decided in terms of the majority of the community in order to go for the international launch first. So no waiting here. Then secondly, no, we do not want to create our own exchange, right? Safedroid is rather an aggregation platform. We are basically a platform which enables micro savings, really small amounts, a few cents only, to be auto converted into crypto. We can do that because we are acting like an aggregator. We are just then aggregating over different users. We are aggregating amounts. We are netting amounts. We are thereby taking out transaction costs. We are making it barrier free. And just by having an operation model like this, we can offer the value proposition to bring crypto to the masses, to make it really barrier free. If you would operate in as an exchange, this would be very challenging. That's not our business case. It's rather that we are an aggregator before an exchange. We are then connecting the Safedroid ecosystem to an exchange, and then our product logic is working extremely well. And for the third one, again here I'm going to keep it short because we had this question already 3 times before. In order to get Safedroid listed as soon as possible, we are in very close interaction with the top 5 exchange. We are pushing for a listing ASAP. Nevertheless, we are reliant on their availability and we are reliant on their decision at the end of the day. That's how the listing policy works there. Therefore, what we can do, that's what we are doing. We're pushing for an early listing, but at the end you guys need to understand that here this is a bit beyond our control, since we are depending on their availability and on their decision making, which of course we can try to influence, but on the other hand side, being dependent on their timeline. That's the honest answer which I can give you to this one. Then we have here one more question from Powers Crypto Jenner. What can you say about people having issue with your PR stunt? So firstly, it was, and I think this is also because the word keeps popping up here and there, it was not a PR stunt. It never meant to be a PR stunt. This is, I think, one very important thing which needs to be understood. Firstly, and that we told the community very openly, we are genuinely sorry for the extreme action which we took. We do know that we gave people a very hard time, and we do understand that people emotionally were hit by that, and we accept the criticism which was out there against this action. So point taken. We need to apologize for that. We have done so, and of course also we've learned our lesson. A thing like that will never be repeated again in the future. Nevertheless, we also need to very clearly state the point that this has never been meant to be a PR stunt, right? The there was some content behind, and this is the message which we are now working on in order to convey. The reason why we did it, and that's the most relevant part to this, is that we have experienced in our own ICO that there's so much scam going on in the whole crypto industry, especially on ICOs, that the market is just not sustainable. And of course, we do have a genuine interest not only to protect our own community here, but also to protect our token and our users in the future of the crypto savings app, is to warn the market, to create awareness for the scamming, to protect people from not getting scammed, and by transporting this important message, and of course then contributing our 2 cents in order to make the whole market more sustainable. And that's what we are doing now by being more transparent, really picking up more community questions, doing AMA sessions every 2 to 4 weeks, doing community votings, doing community events, which we've already done, the community barbecue event, which you may remember. And that, if you ask me, is the only chance here that all the ICO companies, all the market participants basically show commitment on being open towards the community, also answering critical questions, also basically being open for negative feedback and discussing with the community, and not basically saying, oh look, actually what's going on, it's just fine, you know what, we are earning money with it, so let's just stick to how the market is currently working. I think if we continue with a mindset like this, the whole market will be broken very soon, and the bubble which is definitely there could burst sooner than later, and that of course we don't have any interest to happen, so therefore we're trying our best to make it more sustainable, and that was the real message behind. So I think really people need to start to see the whole topic a bit more differentiated. The way how we communicated the message definitely was the wrong one. That was bad. We apologize for that. On the other hand side, the message is highly relevant and one can just not ignore it. The market is not sustainable as it is at this point in time, and that is what needs to change, and everybody in the crypto industry needs to get more self-reflected about that and a bit more self-critical also, so that we can define together a way forward in how to achieve and establish higher quality standards. And then of course, and that's now more relevant for Safedroid as a company, see at the end the future value of the token and the future success of our business model will not be affected by this action. At the end is we now need to deliver a high quality product. We now need to show that the product has a good value proposition to the users. We need to add users to the platform, and if we can do that, then the Safedroid token and also Safedroid as a company, our whole business case will have a bright future, right? At the end, it comes down to a high quality product, to good user experience, to being able to load the platform with users, and it's not going to be about an action which has been taken in order to communicate a story in the market. I think if you look to successful companies out there, the success at the end of the day is originated from the product, is originated from user acceptance of the product, and not by a campaign or not by an action which has been taken in the past, which was controversially discussed. I think at the end it's really about the product, and we're working very hard on that. We're making good progress, and you guys will see once we release the beta that this is going to be a product which has a great market opportunity because it's solving a real issue. It's bringing crypto to the masses, and that is what we should focus on, not so much still discussing on an emotional basis about this action, but rather now looking forward, looking to the product, and seeing that this product will solve a real life issue, and therefore going to have a good potential future at the market also when we bring more futures to our more users to our platform in the future. And this is, if you ask me, the most and single relevant factor if you're asking about the future of the project, about the future of the token, to make the product successful. And that's what we are fully dedicated on, where we are working with more than 100% of our energy on, and that's, I think, also how it should be, to make the project as successful as possible. I hope that this gives you a good insight how we are now being self-reflective about the campaign, apologetic for sure because it was not the right way to communicate, being reflected in a way of learning, of course, never to repeat it. On the other hand side, sticking to the core message which we wanted to convey, but we were not able to convey, which but then clearly results in the full effort being pushed towards the product development and having a good product out which can make the real difference in the market, which, if you ask me, will make the difference at the end of the day for Safedroid being a successful project in the crypto market. I hope that this also gives you a good insight and a good answer to your question here. Other than that, I'm now checking with Toby, do we have more questions from the community at this point in time? Okay, cool. I see we have some more questions. So if you guys have more questions, please feel free to also post. We will answer all the questions which are still there. Again, need to apologize today for the technical difficulties which we had. We had a breakdown of our live streaming, unfortunately, so we needed to restart. I hope we did not lose too many people who wanted to participate on this one. Now we have the next question here from Milan. How you will comment about giving a non-transparent vote? You and your team didn't think about losing totally the trust in the community. I think what Milan is commenting here on is basically the community voting, which we ran about the token listing strategy. If you remember back a few weeks ago, we did a community voting. We had two options. Option one being list the Safedroid token only when we have the listing date aligned with the top 5 exchange also. And option number 2 was list the SVD token as soon as possible and not wait for the top 5 exchange, only at the top 5 exchange then in a later point in time. And the community could vote. We had one SVD as one vote. And the community voting was open for 3 days, and people could vote on this one. It was the first community voting which we did, and now basically we had a controversial discussion afterwards, because the discussion on the Telegram channel was highly biased in the direction of list SVD as soon as possible, so voting for option number 2. Nevertheless, the outcome of the vote was very clear in the other direction. We had 76% of the votes in favor of vote for the top 5 exchange and not list as soon as possible. And the reason for that, why it was the outcome is, and I think that, Milan, just to your point, is yes, and I think this was our learning, we need to be more transparent about the voting outcome, and we also need to make the voting results available instantly after the vote is closed. This was due to the fact that it was our first community voting. We of course received that community feedback and we will improve in the future. We are currently also considering different software solutions in order to use for the next community voting, because we will of course repeat community votings also for other topics. So yes, here again, we are, as always, self-reflective. We are picking up the community feedback. We need to add more transparency in terms of timeliness when we communicate the voting results. We are now investigating, can we use some software tool for this one in order to be more transparent also. But for the vote which we had, to be fully transparent here, the voting result at the end of the day, of course, was driven by the big ticket investors, and the big ticket investors had a very clear difference for waiting for the top 5 exchange. The reason behind also very clear. There were 2 arguments, because we anticipated that people would have a controversial discussion, since on Telegram, where of course the big ticket investors are not participating in the daily discussions, so they are not present. So this also this perspective was not really there in the Telegram community, but they gave, because we called them up, they gave 2 very clear reasons why they wanted to wait for the top 5 exchange. Reason number 1 being really clearly stating that the token trading start will be more successful in their perception if we wait for a large exchange where we can have a better trading volume, where we can have a more liquid market. So that was reason number 1, and reason number 2 was basically saying that we should wait for the top 5, because then in our timeline we would also have the beta ready, and if we can have the exchange trading and the beta launch at the same point in time, this will also be much more favorable for the Safedroid token, because what they have experienced with other tokens, if they hit the exchange on a pre-product basis, the token price was just dumped. So therefore the traders are now more and more focusing on projects, on companies which already have a live product. So therefore the second and very important argument was wait with the listing, then you have your beta ready. You can also say that the product is now out, and this will give you a much better trading start. So I think if you take these two arguments in sum, so basically higher liquidity at a bigger exchange, and secondly having a product ready and thereby having better trading opportunity at the exchange, I think it rationally makes a lot of sense to wait, and also I think it's a very clear argument why the big ticket investors have voted for this option. I hope that you at least can understand this position, that you can at least understand why the voting outcome was like this. I think the arguments do make sense, and as we have committed to carry out basically the result which has been taken by the community voting, we are now also committed to working towards this listing strategy. So I hope, Milan, that this gives you more transparency about the process, what happened in the last community voting, and as I already said, we are highly committed to make the process more transparent for the next community voting. So please take that as granted. We will improve the process for the next votes coming forward. I hope that this also addresses your point, Milan, regarding transparency and trust around the community votings. As you see, we are always concerned about the community feedback. We are picking up as much as we can. We also picked up now for this AMA to summarize the key balance in the update. Just below the video, we will also post that, repost that on the YouTube channel. This is one point which came out of the community feedback. Another one is using a transcription software so that we can provide transcript of the live stream. That's also what we are testing these days. So you see that you're really open for community feedback. We're picking up as much as we can, and then of course also in regards to the community voting, we will definitely do it differently the next time. So we are also in a learning process, and we're trying to get better and better from day to day. So I hope you see that that we are really committed to having continuous improvement and getting things done in a more efficient way once we advance here. I don't see that we have any further questions at this point in time. So for me, what remains as the closing words is, again, thanks so much for bearing with me at this summer night here. I think maybe the temperatures in Germany have now increased to close to 30 degrees also. It's really hot in our office. Maybe this was also why the technical stuff didn't work as properly as for the last times. We had, I think we experienced 2 breakdowns in our live streaming with the Facebook live stream this time. We will work on this one as well to get it more stable for the next time. Sorry for that. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for joining this AMA in the first place and not spending your time on the pool with a cocktail. So highly appreciated that you are that much interested in our project to follow the discussion. Thanks a lot for your questions. We had, again, positive questions, negative feedback as well. I like this controversial discussion in the AMA, I must say, quite a lot, because I think that also shows that we have a strong community where we can openly discuss and address negative feedback points, which I think is highly important. Thanks so much for joining. Read the summary of the AMA, of the news updates towards the token and the operational feedback just in the bullets below the video. We will also post that to the second part of the streaming so that you can just read it here. You don't need to watch the full AMA. Thanks again for joining this one. Again, the next one will be in the next 2 to 4 weeks. That's the frequency to which we have committed. So stay tuned on our channels. You will learn about the next session date in our newsletter, on Telegram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on our website. So just have a look and happy to engage with you in the next discussions. And please always reach out if you should have any questions. In the meantime, feel free to join our community channels. The biggest one is Telegram still. We have now also launched a German-speaking Telegram group. This you can also join. We will also post the link to the German-speaking Telegram group just below this AMA session video on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And if you want to join the German official Safedroid Telegram group as well, feel free. So for all the German natives, this will be a much easier way to connect. We are having now there, I think, close to 700, 800 members already. The group just started this week. So please feel free to spread the word, invite your contacts also to the German group, and let's make this group bigger and grow it bigger and keep it up there. Gonna have a productive discussion also on our German Telegram. Thanks so much. Stay tuned and see you next time. Bye bye.